Hey, this is Cameron. Welcome back to the Busy Gardener channel. Hey, today I'm doing a quick look and update on harvesting our figs. Got my trusty colander here, got the fig tree here. Let's get busy. One of the things that I love is to be able to grow tasty fruit in our orchard. And that's one of the reasons why this channel exists. Main reason is because I believe everybody should be able to grow tasty fruits and veggies in their home garden or in their orchard. And so it is so exciting to come out here and to see fruit that is starting to be ripe. Pick one off, see if it's ready, and if it is, come back with this guy. I don't know why I brought the small one today. And so I want to show you the three things that I've got here. I have 3 fig trees that are growing. I have this Janus Kadota Fig. They call it seedless. I mean, every fig has seeds, but they're not very pronounced. It's very smooth and mild. This is our Black Mission Fig over here. And those start out as these green figs and then turn into a dark black one. That makes them really easy to spot. And this here is probably one of the more unique ones. It's our variegated tiger stripe, or called Panache. And so this fig is really gorgeous too. This is the one that Tom Spellman pointed out. Sometimes because it's a genetic mutation that causes them to be striped, sometimes wood will come off of here that reverts back to the original before it became variegated. Really interesting. Okay, I'm going to show you a few ways to tell how to harvest figs. How do you know when a fig is ready to eat? So there are a couple things to look for. Let's take a look. Okay, so as you can see, each of these figs has a different color. The Kadota Fig has kind of that kind of green color. The Black Mission obviously turns like a black color. And then these tiger stripes are a different color. They kind of turn a yellowish color. So how do you know which figs to pick? Easiest way to tell that a fig is ready to pick, in my experience, is by looking at the way that it hangs on the tree. So if you notice some of these unripe figs, clearly unripe figs, you notice that those are sticking straight out and that the stem is poking, they're kind of hanging on the stem straight out. Well, as a fig matures and ripens, you'll notice that they kind of take this more teardrop thing. So that's the easiest sign that a fig is probably ready to go. The other is, depending on the fig, is if you come and give it a very light squeeze. These figs up here, these unripe figs, are very firm and hard, whereas these little figs here are much softer. They give, and the more they give, the more ripe that they are. Now, the problem I run into up here is that if I don't pick them when they're maybe slightly unripe, the animals will. They find them and they try to grab it. So I think that this Kadota Fig, is probably ready to go. And again, it's like anything in your entire orchard. You'll want to double check and test one. And if this isn't quite right, then I know to hold off on these. Kind of a giveaway that you're picking them a little bit early is if the top of it is kind of weeping this sap. Can you see that? It's coming out of there. I'm going to flip this around so you can see it. If it's weeping this white fig sap, then that means that the system is still pretty active and that the fig probably needed a little bit more time on the tree. But I'm going to pop it open and see how it tastes. Something you may have heard Charles Malky or other people say before is that fig trees, some people really have a sensitivity both to this sap, which can cause kind of an allergic type reaction, and also these leaves have these little microfibers that can kind of poke you and can cause some sort of issues. So brushing up against it, if you've got a sensitivity to fig trees or to fig sap, you may want to steer clear of this, or have somebody else do the harvesting for you. So I want to show you the how just wonderful this. I don't know if it's going to show you. This is that Janus Kadota seedless, they call it. Okay, well, all signs point to this being ripe, and so I'm going to taste it. This is great. You could probably do with a day, maybe 2 days on the tree, but already so tasty. If I got this at the store, I wouldn't be sad about it. Now you may be wondering whether or not you can eat the skin. You can. Sometimes it's just a pain to try to get all this good stuff out of the middle. Okay, so remember we're looking in here and we notice that there's some with these Panache figs especially. They will lighten up. You won't all of those stripes will disappear when the fig is about ready to be eaten. So for this one especially, how it looks, the color that it looks, is really important in telling whether it's ready or not. Wow, you can really see how much more colorful the inside of this is, how it looks totally different than that Kadota fig. And so this is going to be a totally different experience, both visually, and the taste is going to be a little different. Let's taste test it. Wow, so we'll see how if this color makes a difference or not. This one is exceptional. Wow, that's so interesting. Whereas the Kadota fig is a lot more just mild, almost like honey. Very sweet, very good. This thing has some tang. This has a lot more personality, this panache. It's got a lot more panache. Don't you had a tree that grew figs like me? I want to get every little morsel out of there. Whiskers, where are you? Whiskers, do you like fig? Do you like fig? Oh, where are you going with that thing? Is it good? Are you eating it? Whiskers. Are you eating it? Oh, you just left it. Okay, one of the things I like to do is, ouch, as I'm going through here, and one easy way to spot the figs that are ready is to come and look from under the canopy. Somebody's probably walking through the bridle trail over there. When you look up through the canopy, you're able to see all of the figs. And a lot of times, especially on this black mission, I noticed that they'll be hanging under the leaves. So we'll see if there's one that's ready. That one's not quite ready. Yeah, this one is a little bit of a later one. I like that. I like the idea of having some successive, things that are more successive, as you know if you follow this channel. All right, let's see over here. I noticed there's that one black mission. Oh, look at this. Totally been chewed. Well, I kind of want to just still try it. That's a nice thing about this. I'm not selling it, I'm eating it. Wow, this really is beautiful though. Look how, it's not quite, it kind of looks like almost an in-between of those two, of the Kadota and the Panache. Okay, before I eat this, I want to tell you a funny story. So my wife had never had a fig before. She didn't even know what the fruit looked like. And so I remember at my dad's house, he had a fig tree. And so he pulled off a fig and he says, hey, do you know what this is? She says, what is it? He says, it's a fig. She says, that doesn't look anything like the stuff that goes in the Newtons. It seems like most people just know a fig Newton. That's your entire experience with figs. And that's when this inside has been dried and obviously put into a little cake. So kind of a cute story. Now she loves figs. Okay, let's try this Black Mission fig. Wow. That's a really complex flavor too. Honestly, this tastes like a mix in between the Panache and the Kadota. Well, that's pretty exquisite. No wonder the birds are pecking at it. It's tasty. Yeah, that was really good. I love this Black Mission. We had a neighbor over here. He's now since passed. He was, I think, in his 90s when he did. But he had this enormous fig tree that was hanging over the bridle trail. And so when we would go by there, they'd just be hanging there, tons and tons of figs. We'd pull up the pickup so we could get a little extra height. The whole tree was probably 18 feet tall, which is obviously way taller than we can get juicy figs. He wasn't even watering them, and they were just growing so happy over there. They since got rid of it and a bunch of other stuff when they sold his home after he passed. But anyway, figs are real wonderful. Hey, what kind of figs do you grow? Have you got any recipes? What should we do with these? This tree is kind of still small enough to still just come and get them and just eat them just like this. But do you do anything to preserve them? Do you dry them? Do you cook them? I see people sometimes cut and grill them. What's your, oh, bacon wrapped? Bacon wrapped? So maybe you've got some ideas you can share with me. Anyway, this is our fig assembly here. I've got another little fig that I'm going to be putting in the ground sometime soon. It doesn't have any figs on it yet. It's still just a little seedling. I think it's called a Riverside Gold. Tommy Gronwald gave that to me as a gift after we did the thing at his house, where we did his orchard and garden tour over there. And so that still needs to get in the ground, but it's doing great, and it's a little plant pot. Hey, something that's kind of a neat, interesting factoid that I didn't know until Charles Malky mentioned it, but now that I look at it, I can see that he's exactly right. And that is that figs grow on this year's growth. Unlike like those nectarines and some of the stuff behind me, those stone fruit that grow on wood that grew last year. So a lot of that green growth that isn't going to get pruned off is going to give us fruit next year. But all of these figs are growing on the growth, this year's growth. And so what that tells me is that I want to be a little bit more aggressive. You have a good structure, but be more aggressive in pruning the figs down, so that way as it grows back up and gives me more wood, it's going to grow on that new wood. So that's kind of an interesting factoid that might help you out as you're making your pruning decisions. You might be wondering why that little Kadota fig is so much smaller. I don't know if you can even tell, but the Kadota is like down here, and all the other ones are huge compared to it. Well, this poor guy got wiped out by some tree trimmers. They were cutting my neighbor's tree and a limb fell down and smashed it. All that was left was a little tiny thing coming out of the ground. But these trees just like to live. If that's any indicator to you, if you're ever worried about making a pruning cut, let this be an example to you. It's growing, it's fruiting. So kind of an interesting thing there. Hey, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of The Busy Gardener, where I showed you my fig trees and we went through and harvested some. I got to benefit from that, so hopefully by seeing this, you get to benefit from it too. What ideas do you have? What thoughts do you have on how to use these figs? These trees are going to get bigger, and we're going to end up with more and more fruit with every year that passes, and it's probably going to start to exceed our ability to just eat it like out of hand like that. And so what do you like to do with your figs? Dry them? Put them in little cakes like fig Newtons? Do you just eat them as dried figs themselves and kind of munch on them? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Sure is a lot of fun to come out here and share these things with you. If you haven't yet subscribed to the Busy Gardener channel, why don't you do that now? Take a second to mash that little button, hit the notification bell, and hit that like thing. That makes me feel oh so good. Lets me know that you are into what we're doing here. So, hey, whether you've got one fig on your tree or 500, until next time, stay busy.